हाँ तो खुल जाता है शायद।
Dr. Varija?
Hello there. Hi.
Are you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I'm
can
here.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
1 second. Okay. Okay, so we'll start in another 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's 4:55 here in India, so we'll start at 5 o'clock exactly.
Okay, sure.
Great. Okay, yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Varija. Nice to see you.
Hi, Dr. Ashish. Hi, Kamil.
So how are you? Is it an off day for you?
No, I'm actually not working at the moment. I'm still in the
Yeah.
PLAB process, so I'm
Okay.
just waiting. Yeah.
Okay. So when is your PLAB 2?
I haven't actually booked my PLAB 2 yet because there's no slots available.
Yeah, because of COVID, right?
Yeah, and there's so
Yeah.
many people waiting. So the next slot will be in maybe March or April. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
What about you? Is it your off day today?
Yeah, it is off for me. It's Boxing Day today. No, it's not Boxing Day. It's not
Oh,
Boxing
yeah.
Day. It's today. Yeah. So it's Sunday today.
Yeah. Okay, so you're off today.
Yeah, I'm off
Did you have
today.
a busy week?
Yeah, actually, there were a lot of off days this week, starting from Christmas and then Boxing Day and then Sunday, and it's off tomorrow as well because they have shifted that leave of Boxing Day tomorrow.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
where do you work as at the moment?
So I'm working in Wales. It's a town called Haverfordwest.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we waiting on Camille? What's happening?
Yeah. I don't know. Are we live on YouTube?
Just 1 second. I'll just switch on my video.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's.
Hi.
Is my video visible?
Yeah.
Hi. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm able to see you.
Is my video visible?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah. Kamil, can you give me permission to record, please? I'm just trying to record this conversation.
Okay, so we'll just wait for 2 minutes, ma'am. We have around 73 participants right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry?
And is this going to be on YouTube?
Yeah. The live stream has began already.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll just wait for another 2 minutes and we'll begin with our session.
Sure. I'm just gonna quickly run down and get some water. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Kamil, are you able to give me the permission to record? I think you'll have to do it from your system? Because when I try on like recording, it says that the host will have to give me permission to record.
Okay, 1 second, sir. One second, I'll just see, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sending you how to do that in the chat.
I think the recording option is only for the host, I believe.
No, have a look at the chat. You have to go into participants and then navigate to like my name.
Yeah.
And then click on that and go for grant recording privileges.
All right, I'll just see, sir. 1 second.
Yeah, click on more next to my name.
Okay, and allow to record, is it? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it happening now?
Yeah, it's happening now. Great.
Oh, great. Is Dr. Varija back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, hi.
Okay. Okay, we have around 77 participants right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I'll just open the waiting room for everyone so that I don't have to keep on.
Yeah, better to do that.
So, okay, yeah. Okay, so it's 5, so we'll begin then.
Okay,
yeah.
Go on.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Kamil Ahmed. I am the college head. I'm a final year student, medical student first of all. I'm the college head of AMSA AJMS Mangalore. First of all, thank you everyone for joining with us today to get knowledge about PLAB through this webinar. And I'm actually having a mini fanboy moment, getting to meet and talk to Dr. Varija and Dr. Ashish. Actually, I've been following both of your blogs for quite some time now. So yeah, so I'll begin with an introduction. So Dr. Ashish, he's Dr. Ashish Bamania. He's an alumnus of the prestigious AMSA Delhi. And most of us know him by his popular blog page and YouTube channel, PLAB Made Easy. And in fact, the blogs and YouTubes of him is, it very well lives up to what the name he has put for his blog page. And it's such an honor to have you today along with us. So welcome to you.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you.
And our second speaker for today, okay. And the second speaker for today is Dr. Varija Kopulu.
Hi.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, Kopolu. Kopolu. It's fine, it's fine.
Sorry?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh. Okay. So Dr. Varija basically moved from Scotland in the United Kingdom to India to pursue her MBBS in India. So after finishing her MBBS in Maharaja's Institute of Medical Science, Vizianagaram, she completed an internship in King George Hospital, Visakhapatnam. She has a blog page on Instagram, which can be considered as a proper manual for IMGs who are beginning on their PLAB journey.
Thank you so much.
She is always there for, whenever you text her, she is always there. She is a very helpful person, and it's such a privilege to have you with us today, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Kamil. Thank you for organizing this event.
So without wasting any, no problem. It's my pleasure, ma'am. So we'll begin with the introduction to the PLAB pathway. I request Dr. Varija to just brief us about an overview about how we can enter into UK and begin our residency.
Hello, so I'm Varija Kopolu, and I've recently started a blog page called as Dr. Varija. It's on Instagram. So the main reason why I started this page is because I myself didn't have a clue of what to do. So by looking at different blogs, such as Dr. Ashish's blog, Dr. Nasir's blog, and Road to UK, and I thought this PLAB is something that people normally don't actually prefer, because most of the time it's USMLE, as there's a lot of misconception around the whole PLAB pathway. So I thought maybe I should journal my journey so that people can see that it's a good pathway. So today I'm just going to speak I'm going to give a brief introduction about the PLAB pathway and how you can go about it. So the first thing you need to do when you want to decide, for PLAB, you need to check the World Directory of Medical Colleges. It's basically wdoms.org. And your college needs to be listed on here for GMC to accept your medical degree. However, it's not listed, don't worry. Just email the GMC and state that your college is not listed. What should I do, as it's not accepted? They will send you a form which will allow you to fill out all your details. And once you send them this, they will get back to you about it. Okay, so that's the first preliminary step that you need to do before you start preparing for the PLAB pathway. So the next one is your English proficiency test. It's basically an English language test to test your communication skills. You probably heard about this. There's two of them, IELTS or OET. IELTS is they have the So they have similar patterns, both of them. There's the listening, reading, speaking, and writing sessions. And for IELTS, if you want to take IELTS, you need to take the IELTS Academic or the UKVI. And previously, they only accepted UKVI for visa purposes, but now that's been made. You don't need the UKVI. You can just write the Academic IELTS, and then you will still be fine. And then it costs around £175. For me, that's what I paid when I was here. But in India, you can go through different organizations. There's the IDP, there's the British Council, and they cost around 14,000 rupees to write the test. And IELTS is comparatively difficult than OET, because OET is more medical. The language they used is more medical professional related. So most of the people that I've read online and I've seen preferred the OET because it's easier to pass in the first time when compared to the IELTS. It depends on your personal choices. If you feel like your English is good and up to mark, just go for IELTS. And if you feel like, okay, fine, maybe I should consider OET, go for OET. It completely depends on you and your own personal choices. Then OET costs, it's more expensive than compared to IELTS. OET costs around 33,000 rupees compared to the IELTS. And then it normally takes longer for OET results to come through than IELTS. If you write, IELTS is also academic, that you can write two. There's the computer-based and the paper-based. The computer-based usually takes 5 days to get your results, while the paper-based takes like two weeks to get your results through. So that's another thing. OET, however, takes a month to get back to you about that. So people generally prefer OET to IELTS, but it all comes down to your personal choices, really. So once you've passed your IELTS, you need to make a GMC online account. You can do that via their website. For the GMC online account, you need a passport. That's an important thing. You need your passport and you need your degree details, and you need to put all of that in. So that will be the day you started your degree, the day you the day you finished, you got your degree, which is your pass percentage in the medicine. And yeah, so once you've made your GMC online account, there will be a English language test section on the GMC online account. You need to be able to put your details into the GMC online account, your English language test, and it has the different sections such as reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And you need to put that in, and then it will show as test accepted. Right now, the GMC doesn't ask you to provide your details, but later on when you apply for registration, they will ask you for your TR, the test report form. And so that's up to the English language test. And usually it takes around 1 month to 2 months for IELTS preparation. And I suggest that you try to get this done by your internship, because IELTS and OET are only valid for 2 years. So you need to have your IELTS and OET in time, like validity in time for your visa application and also your GMC registration. So plan your work and plan your study schedule in such a way that even after you pass your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, sorry, even after you pass your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, you will still have the validity of your IELTS and OET. If in case, if it expires by the end of your GMC, like by the time you get your GMC registration, they will ask you to retake the exam. So that's up to IELTS and OET. So now coming to PLAB 1. How do you book PLAB 1? What is PLAB 1? So PLAB 1 is basically 180 questions, 180 minutes, and 180 marks. So that's how it is. So question, 1 mark. And each question is clinically orientated. So it's not the same as like remembering a lot of things. It's more like management, assessment, and knowledge. That these are the 3 things that they test you about. So you need to be able to master your concepts. The most important thing is your concepts. If you can master your concept, the exam will be fine. So don't worry about how you will, like, for example, if you manage to struggle through medical school, don't worry about it, because PLAB 1 is something that you can prepare and you can do well, and the score doesn't matter. The pass marks are usually 65%, so about 120 by 180 marks. But it usually differs. There's always a range. It depends on how well the people did. Like previously for my November PLAB, it was 116 marks overall. So that was about like 63, 64%. I can't quite remember. So, and the only thing that is your PLAB scores don't matter. The GMC sees that you've passed PLAB. It doesn't matter if you get 90% or if it doesn't matter if you get 70%. It's the only thing that's valid is your pass. It says pass, that means you've passed the exam. So there's a preparation time. We'll talk about the preparation time. Usually it takes around 2 months for a person to prepare for PLAB 1, because you need to be able to do there's question banks. You need to be able to complete the question banks and try to finish the question banks and try to do mocks, which is very important. And this usually takes, to be able to complete the question bank, it takes a month of dedicated study time. So people usually sit down for 4 to 5 hours a day and try to study, but it completely depends on you. If you're a fast learner, it might take you less time. If you're a slow learner, it might take you more time. It all depends on the way you study and your study pattern, but it's completely doable. That's the one thing I can assure you, that PLAB is completely, that's something that you can pass if you put your time and an effort into it. So so what are the resources that are available for PLAB? Now, there are no particular books that you can follow, but normally they recommend you follow the Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine and Oxford Handbook of Clinical Specialities. You need to be able to follow through with these while in your internship, because these act like a guide, not completely a textbook, but a guide to your PLAB preparation. The next resource that is very reliable is question banks. There are plenty of question banks out there. The most used one at the moment are PLABable, Med Revisions, and Past Medicine. PLABable is, everybody sticks to PLABable because it's something that we see on the social media, and we look at, and people used to follow that. And the aid to this PLABable is usually PLAB 1 keys and PLAB verse. These are basically concise notes that you can prepare while studying. Well, you have to use these alongside PLABable. And then so PLAB, how many questions, how many mocks you should take before you take the exam? Normally in PLABable, there are 13 mocks altogether. So you should be able to complete all these mocks and make sure you time your mocks, because on the day of the exam, it's not the same. Because I used to finish my mocks in 2 hours or so, but then on the day of the exam, I actually had to use the entire 3 hours for the exam, because the questions are more lengthier when compared to what we see on Plabbable or any other question banks. So you need to be able to master the concepts and understand the concept to be able to answer these questions. Well, how much does this PLAB 1 cost? PLAB 1 costs £235. And the thing is, these days there's a huge competition for places, so people are booking well in advance. It's mostly due to the pandemic, and everything is just put on hold at the moment. So I suggest that you try to get through PLAB 1 by the end of your internship, because then you will still have your clinical knowledge, as you will be practicing every day in your internship and your time, so that way you can save your time too. Then once you're done with PLAB 1, what should you do? You'll have 6 weeks to wait for the results. And this is usually the time that GMC takes to process your results and put it up online. So in this 6 weeks, what I did was, there's an important thing called as EPIC verification. It's by the ECFMG. So in EPIC verification, it's a way of verifying your primary medical qualification, that it's genuine and that you are who you are. So it has three different steps. The first one is creating your account. The second one is notary camp. Third one is updating your primary medical qualification, and this will get verified by your college or your medical school. And normally this takes about, for me, it took 25 days, but for others, it might take longer. It all depends on how long you spend replying to how much time you spend replying to them, and how much time your medical college takes to reply to you, and like that. Then once you're done with PLAB, once you're done with EPIC verification, then comes your results. So on the day of your results, you will get an email from GMC stating that your results are available to view online. So this will be on your test results section of your GMC online. So once you've done that, once you've passed your PLAB 1, you can book your PLAB 2 place. And usually before COVID, you used to be able to get a place within 3 months of passing PLAB 1, but now due to COVID, this has been put on hold, and a lot of people are waiting for the places. But to combat this, GMC is opening a new place in Manchester to increase the number of places available for people to come and take the test. Once you've done with PLAB 2, and once you've done your EPIC verification, then comes your GMC registration. So GMC registration is for you to apply to get a full GMC registration from the GMC. So for this, you need to provide all your details. And I think Dr. Ashish will be able to talk about this better than me, because I haven't done that process yet. So I'll leave that to him. But I know that GMC registration, you need to send your details, and you need to mail the GMC your original certificates, and based on that, they will sort out your GMC registration. And another thing that I want to touch up on is gaps in this time. So normally, GMC recommends that you shouldn't have any gaps between finishing your medical school and starting your internship. And that's that. So that's and then the next in 2024, GMC stated that there's going to be a new licensing exam. So they're going to replace PLAB with UKMLA. Right now, the GMC didn't state anything, didn't state about how it's going to be or the pattern it's going to be, but it will be very much similar to PLAB. So if you're in, for example, if you need to be able to complete your PLAB 2 and apply for registration before the December 2023, because early 2024 it's getting converted to UKMLA. And even if you pass your PLAB 1, from when this change occurs, you will have to take the UKMLA again. The thing is, PLAB 1 is only for international medical graduates, but UKMLA is when you're competing against all the UK medical graduates too. So it's like USMLE when you do with everyone. So that's that. And so that's I think that's everything I have to cover. If I missed anything, Camille can tell me what I've missed.
That's it, I guess, from here.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention the validity of PLAB 2. PLAB 2 is valid for 2 years, so you need to be able to get a you need to be able to do your GMC registration by these 2 years. And the GMC registration, once you get it, it's valid for a year. So that's everything. I've concluded my talk. If I missed anything,
also about the visa process when we have to go to write PLAB 2 exam.
Dr. Ashish will be able to help you with that.
Okay.
I'm not so sure about the visa process myself, so he will help with that.
All right.
Hi, Kamil. So, yeah.
Yeah. No. Continue, sir.
I'm not able to hear you now.
Yeah, you can continue, sir.
Yeah, so the PLAB 2 visa, it's not a very difficult thing. I mean, a lot of people are like exaggerating it a bit. It's not very difficult to get a PLAB 2 visa. It's just a normal tourist visa. And you can just go to the UK visa page and apply for a normal tourist visa. So if you want to go for that long of a duration, which is like around 1 to 2 months, then you'll have to add in a few supporting documents. So I have a list of all the supporting documents. Let me just have a look at all of those so I can tell you what all I added. So my list included the booking for my accommodation there, which was Airbnb. Then it included all the bank account statements for the account, which I'll be using to pay. That was my parents' account. Then I had my current address proof, which was my electricity bill. Then there was my IELTS certificate, my internship certificate, and MBBS final year mark sheet. I mean, these are not really essential to get the visa. These are just to support. I mean, no one will tell you that you have to add all of these, but they just tell the visa people that, yeah, you're a legitimate candidate and you're going there for like giving some kind of exam and just not going there for just having fun for 2 months. Once you add all of these documents, and you can also add your PLAB 1 result, your PLAB 2 booking confirmation, your PLAB 2, all the supporting documents, and your parents' IDs, which can include Aadhaar or passports. And once you're done, you'll easily get your visa in some time. So I think the visa process, it is a bit difficult in some of the centers. I've heard that if you apply for this PLAB 2 visa from South India, it's a bit difficult because the visa officers there, they don't allow you to go to the UK to give PLAB 2 exam. So I'm not really sure what happens in South India. So some people say that you don't tell them that you're going for PLAB 2 and just apply for a normal tourist visa, that you're going to stay there with your family and friends. But I think it's good to be honest about the process, like what you're going to do when you are in the UK. But I don't think it's a big problem in Delhi because I applied my visa from there. I added all my supporting documents and I got the visa in like 1 week or 2 weeks. I got it in 1 week, yeah. So yeah, that's all about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think Dr. Walija wants to repeat the PLAB 2 process.
I didn't actually specify everything about PLAB 2. So PLAB 2 is basically it's OSCE stations, so objective structured clinical examination stations. So there are 18 stations, 20 stations in total, out of which 2 are rest stations. In these 18 stations, you get a scenario. You're the doctor. You go into the room and you have to examine the patients, and you have to you have to take history, you have to manage the patient, talk about relevant investigation, and it's 12 marks for each station, and you need to be able to pass 11 stations out of 18 stations, and each station is timed. So you enter the station, you get 1.5 minutes to read the brief about the station, which will be outside the station room, and once you enter into the station, you'll get 8 minutes. In this 8 minutes, you should be able to talk to the patient, get an appropriate history. You should be able to look at you should perform examinations, you should talk to the patient, and you should be able to give a management plan. But the main thing about PLAB 2 is it's about the communication skills. PLAB 1, it's about your knowledge. PLAB 2 is your communication skills and how to be able to showcase that you are a safe doctor. The GMC wants to know if you're a safe doctor and you will be able to provide safe care to all the patients in the UK. So that's the most important thing about PLAB 2 is your communication skills. So even in your daily when you're attending wards, clinical wards and stuff, make sure that you're able to talk to the patient, treat the patient as a person. Don't when you talk to the patient, make sure you listen to them, communicate with them in such a way that it will not just your character development, but build a rapport with the patient, which will help you in the long run. So that's the most important thing about PLAB 2 is to be able to communicate well. And if you feel like you're lacking in communication, practice. Practice is the most important thing. And for PLAB 2, they recommend that you take coaching. There's usually lots of coaching centers. There's Dr. Swami's, Common Stations, there's Dr. Mo Sabi, there's Aspire Education. There's other ones too, such as Friends. There's a lot of academies. When choosing these academies, it comes down to your personal preparation, your personal your personal choice. It's all because nobody can teach you it. You need to be able to reciprocate it and to be able to learn and to treat the patient in your own time. So that's the most important thing about PLAB 2, to be able to communicate. So I recommend that you improve your communication. And people in the UK are very polite. So even when we're treating someone back at home, try to be as polite as you can, because that will help you a lot. And it might seem as like, not much, but then that in the long run, that's very, very, very helpful. So PLAB 2 costs about £875. So that's the amount that you need to spend. And so for PLAB, the recommended time for preparation for PLAB 2 is usually 6 weeks to 8 weeks. So in this 6 weeks, you attend a coaching center, you get coaching, you practice on the mannequins, you practice on the Siemens, you do different stations, and it's better to have a group that you can practice with. So later on, it will become a habit to you in a way when you're practicing with a group. So you can be able to showcase how you're able to treat a patient. So that's the most important thing. And I think that's about it. And then you get your results within a week, 4 weeks of writing PLAB 2. So after that, you will be able to apply for GMC registration. So that's about PLAB 2.
Yeah. I would like to add in more into all these exams. So for PLAB 2, it seems like the GMC is not really looking for your management skills or like your knowledge or how much theory you know. When I went for my PLAB 2, so when I went for my PLAB 2, I had a few seniors who had appeared for PLAB 2 like 2 years back. And there were like 80 scenarios which people had to practice at that time. And all these scenarios were repeated. But when I went for my PLAB 2, this number of scenarios which started coming for this exam increased to around 200 to 250. I think these days they have a lot more stations. The only thing which I would tell people is to like practice all those stations. It's not about any kind of management or theory which you need to know. It's more of like an acting exam. You have to act very nicely. Once you become a very good actor, you can easily pass this exam. It's just that you have to memorize all the dialogues, know a bit of acting, know how to like, you can't really improve all those skills in India, You'll have to practice all those stations. You can't really talk to patients in that way in India in your wards. Just have to practice all those stations, know a bit of acting, know how to talk, and you'll be fine with the exam.
Okay, so there was one more question, sir. People are asking about the accommodation during PLAB 2 coaching, and how to avail it. How is the availability? Do you get it easily and things like that? So if you can please explain about that.
So talking about the accommodation, I went for Dr. Swami's coaching in Manchester. And you can book Dr. Swami's coaching's accommodation, or you can book a private accommodation. Now, the problem with Dr. Swami's accommodation is that sometimes you don't tend to get a room there because it's busy. And also, a lot of people they find it very stressful to live with the same people all over again, like going to this coaching and just talking to the same people and coming back to your own room and talking to the same people. So for that reason, I went for a private accommodation. I just booked a place on Airbnb, and it was a place which was around 0.5 miles from Dr. Swami's coaching. So I used to stay there, study there, go for the coaching, come back. And I think I did half of my classes online, although I was in Manchester, but the classes were like too long and were quite boring. So I just went for Dr. Swami's classes because they were really good. But I attended all the other classes online. So I used to lie down on my bed and just listen to all of those. So it doesn't really matter, you know. So yeah, talking about the accommodation, you can book it privately. And Airbnb or booking.com is a really good place to book one. And you can easily get accommodation. There's not a huge shortage of places to stay in.
Okay, that's great, sir. So to summarize, initially the first exam you have to give is the English exam, which can be IELTS or OT, and it comes down to our personal choice which we want. And soon, once you clear your English proficiency exam, you need to apply for PLAB 1 and book a slot, which can be anywhere in the world. And so once you finish with your PLAB 1, you give your PLAB 2 exam, you book a slot for that also. I mean, that is in Manchester. You need to write that exam in Manchester. And PLAB 1 is a multiple choice question, which is pen paper based. And PLAB 2 is an OSCE based exam. And once you finish your PLAB 2, once you complete PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, we apply for our GMC registration. So that's a procedure, right, sir? Yeah. So Dr. Varija and Dr. Ashish have beautifully explained to us about the procedure of about how we can make it into UK. So, and there's one more question for Dr. Varija. So if you could please explain the pros and cons about, USMLE versus PLAB.
USMLE versus PLAB. This is a very controversial question, and because UK, once you get into the training program, it takes 8 years to be able to practice as a consultant. However, in the US, this process is less, and it's more like 3 to 5 years to be able to do that. But that also comes down to your working hours. In the US, you work for 80 hours a week, while in the UK, the maximum times a doctor should work and can work is 40 hours a week. So there is a much more ease of life when compared to the training of a US doctor than a UK doctor. At the end of the day, you get paid the same, because once you're in the training, you get paid the same in the initial years. It's more, and once you specialize, that you get paid more in the US compared to the UK. But it's still sufficient. You will be able to live a good life with the pay that you get as a doctor in the UK. And it also comes down to distance, because normally, like most of we like to be like home, and we can't be away from home. Even I miss my grandparents so much, and it's easier to go to India from UK than compared to US. It takes a longer time, longer flights, and then it's much more of a chore to traveling across the globe. It's easier in the UK. And that's another thing that's important. It's the leaves you get in UK. You get overall in a year you get about 5 weeks. I think Dr. Ashish will. You get 5 weeks, right? Yeah.
27 days.
Yeah, 27 days. But in the US, you only get 2 weeks at 2 weeks blocks that you have to pre-book. If you don't book this, and if somebody else books it before you can't book that block of, so it's not your personal choice when you can take leave. However, in the UK, you can take leave unless you're on call, then you're not able to take the leave such as that. And also the process, USMLE is a longer process, I think, compared to the UK. Well, it depends on completely your personal choice. If you want to live in the US, in the UK, it comes down to you. Like, make sure you plan everything. Make sure you look at the finance. Make sure you look at the family life. Make sure you look at what happens after you specialize. Do you want to stay back in the US, or do you want to go back to India, or do you want to be able to, live and live? But for me personally, I think I would love to, like, because I prefer a quality of life and an ease of life when compared to because I like enjoying life, not just being a doctor. I also enjoy being like active. I like, extracurricular activities too. So that's another thing that made me choose UK, because in a week you have 168 hours. So if you're working 80 to 100 hours in that 168 hours, imagine what will happen to you in the long run. So in UK it's only 40 hours a week. So that's another plus point that you can think about. So that's that. Then PLAB is, you can do PLAB while you're in your internship. So you can do your IELTS in the beginning of your internship, PLAB 1 by the end of internship, and PLAB 2 after you complete your internship, you get coaching, and then you can go on to do PLAB 2. So that's another thing. But for USMLE, I think it's different, because you need to take break in your internship, prepare for USMLE, and I just felt it was a much more lengthier process that requires a lot of dedication and hard work. So that's the differences between UK and US.
Okay, ma'am. You've answered this controversial question very beautiful, actually.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I think we have come to our first session by Dr. Talking to us about PLAB and versus PLAB, told us about the GMC registration, and she has also told us about the UKMLA that which can be expected in 2024. So now I thank Varija for her, Dr. Varija for her session. So now moving on to Dr. Ashish. So Dr. Ashish, the first thing we would like to cover about is about the jobs we can apply after PLAB 2. So what jobs we can apply for after PLAB 2, and how to apply, and what are the chances of placement of getting a job?
Okay, so there are two kinds of jobs. One are non-training jobs and the other are training jobs. So non-training jobs are doing like any kind of jobs which you do after your graduation in India. They are like the non-training jobs in the UK. And the training jobs are the ones which give you some kind of postgraduate degree after you finish them. So you can apply for both of them actually, but it's easier to get into non-training jobs to begin with. And I think it's a preferable way for most of the doctors, because they are just getting used to this new system. And it's a very different system as compared to our home countries. So personally, I went for a non-training job. So when I started first, I applied for a non-training F2 level job, which is foundation year 2 job. And it was a rotational post. So I had 6 months in trauma and orthopedics and 6 months in general surgery. So I got to learn a lot during my first job, even though it was a non-training job. And I think it prepares you for a proper training job. So I would suggest that new doctors should always apply for some kind of non-training jobs before going into a proper training pathway. That will help them out more, but it's your own choice. I mean, all of these jobs are open these days, so you can directly apply for a training job as well. So yeah, that's it.
So what is the procedure of applying to jobs, sir?
So it depends. If you are applying for your first job and it's a non-training jobs, you have to go for this NHS jobs website. And once you go there, you can put your preferences for the specialty and the area you would like to work in. I think people should not focus more on the type of specialty or the areas. They should just apply for all kind of jobs. And once you get into the system, it's very easy to progress further. So when you're applying for all these non-training jobs, you should not filter them out. You should apply for all kind of jobs and all specialties, and then just appear for interviews and then select them out. So yeah, for non-training jobs, you go to jobs.nhs.uk, and for training jobs, you need to go to Oriel. Oriel is one of the platforms in which you can apply for training jobs, which is like postgraduate degree jobs. I can show you I can share my, no, I think the screen sharing is not available. Okay, that's fine. So yeah.
That's okay, sir. I mean, and also, what are the chances of getting placed for a job? So, I mean, is it easily available, or is it difficult for an international medical graduate to get a job in the UK?
It's actually quite easy to get into a non-training job, but it depends on the amount of doctors who are, like the number of doctors who are applying at a single time. So like 2 years back, it was really, really easy to get into a non-training job. But these days, I have been reading through posts on a lot of groups that people are not getting non-training jobs as well. I'm not really sure what the reason for this is, but I think if you are ready to wait for some time, if you are ready to wait for like 6 months after your GMC registration, and you have a good CV, there's a very high chance of getting a non-training job in the UK.
Okay, sir. So talking about CV, sir,
Yeah.
how do you build, like, what must be an ideal, how does this ideal CV look like? What must be in it to make sure that it is a very good CV?
So an ideal CV in the UK, it consists of a few main headings. So the main headings are, first of all, do you have any kind of distinctions? The second one is any kind of courses that you have done. And ALS is one of the important courses. And most people don't do ALS in our home countries. They go for BLS, which is basic life support. But you can go for ACLS, ATLS in your home countries as well. Then after these courses, you have researches and publications and presentations. So I think someone's microphone. That's why I'm
I can hear somebody else's. I can hear your voice twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it will be best if everyone switches off their microphones, please.
1 second. Is it okay now, sir? Just
Yeah.
1 second. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll mute everyone, and you can unmute yourself once after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself now, sir.
It's on mute.
Dr. Ashish, you're on mute right now. You can unmute.
Yeah, unmuted.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
So yeah, talking about CVs, first of all, it's about your undergraduate distinctions or prizes. Second is courses, and ALS is one of the important courses. Then the third one is your researches, their publications, and their presentations. The fourth one is the teaching sessions which you have done. So you should have a formal feedback of all the teaching which you have done. So it can include board-based teaching, or it can include like a lecture theater-based teaching. So always try to get evidence of your teaching through feedback forms. So just distribute any kind of feedback forms to your audience, and then they will fill it up, and that will show that you have done some kind of teachings, or you can get certificates. Then the last one includes your extracurricular activities. And yeah, there is also audits. So if you have all these things in your CV, it counts as a good CV, and you have a very high chance of getting selected for a job.
So what does extracurricular activity, what does
so it includes all kind of
which are included
yeah.
in that?
So it includes all kind of extracurricular activities, really. Any activity which shows your interest into any kind of fields. Like it can be photography. So it will show that you have very good hand-eye coordination if you are into photography. And if you're into sports, it will show that you have good leadership skills. So it's all about like framing your CV that you can show to the other person that, yeah, you have these kind of skills and you are applying them into other kind of fields other than medicine. Also, if you have done any kind of leadership activities like the one you are doing in AMSA India, so you can just put it in your CV as well, and it will show you that you have leadership skills. So that will be one of the extracurricular activities.
So is there a particular criteria for scoring? Is there any scoring, scoring pattern which they stick to, or is it just randomly they?
So it's different for training and non-training posts. So for non-training posts, they don't really score you that well. I mean, there's no proper scoring structure for non-training posts. But if you apply for a training post, which is post-graduation post, they have proper scores for all of these things. So like if we take one of the subheadings, which is like teaching. So if you have like a national level teaching program, or you have a postgraduate degree in teaching, like a PG Cert degree or a MSc degree in teaching, then you will get the highest score in teaching. But if you have done teaching at a regional level, you will get slightly lower score than that. And if you have done teaching at your local institution, like which is your medical college or hospital, you'll get the least amount of marks. So yeah, it is scored like that, but that's only for training posts. It's not like that for non-training posts.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, aspirants, PLAB aspirants, what do you suggest them to focus on their during their college so that they can improve their CV? What should be their total, the way they conduct themselves in college? How should it be so that they can improve their CV?
I think people should try to do a lot of things. They can go for researches, they can go for audits, teachings, and collect all the evidence of all of these things. So back in our home countries, we are not focused on collecting the evidence of things which we have done. So even if it is extracurricular activity, just collect some kind of evidence that you have done that. If you have participated in some kind of like charity drives or any kind of things, you need to have some kind of evidence for that. So in my CV, I focused on researches, and I had done a few research projects in my college, and I had presented them in international conferences. So when I applied for jobs, I had like 5 international presentations. So I went to the US, UK, Belgium, Switzerland. So I had all those international presentations. So that is one of the parts. Then in my extracurricular activities, I had a lot of things. So I had played in a band. I can play multiple musical instruments, and I had I was a part of one of the associations which took care of like underprivileged children, and I was also the head of my mess. That is also a leadership activity. So
Can I just say something?
yeah.
Like that's amazing that everything you've done. I'm opposite to you. I don't have any evidence based on so that's like the two extremes that I see a lot of people ask about. So some of them are like, I've done this and this, and then there's me. The only thing I've done is like I've done like a few charity work while I was in my final year, and I've just took part in like events in the college. But so it's just putting it out there that people there's two extremes of people, but then they still do get a job. It all depends on your.
Yeah, it all depends. Like, it's not that you have to have all of these things. I didn't do it for like getting a postgraduate degree in the UK. It's what I am.
Yeah, so, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends from person to person. Yeah. So like someone can be good in sports, so they can put it in, or you must have done some kind of activities like extracurricular activities. You can just add all of those in. You should do some kind of researches. You can do some kind of audits, teachings. You must have done a lot of teaching in your medical college. You don't really realize. So you always teach your juniors in your wards.
That's true. Yeah.
Just print out any kind of forms from Google and just make them fill out all those forms, and that will count towards teaching. Yeah.
Okay. No, because you don't really know when you start the whole. I didn't even know when I started the whole PLAB process that I should keep evidence based on like all of this. So now that I think about it, I just feel like, oh, I should have done this, because reading all your blog posts, and I'm like, oh, I should have done that then. So that's the thing I wanted to say.
Yeah. So I would like to suggest that, like, try to do a lot of things in your medical college. Don't try to stick to some kind of like postgraduate program that I have to apply for this or do this. That's why I'm doing that. Just try a lot of things out so that you know yourself. And once you have all of those things, you'll easily you'll easily build an impressive CV.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So we'll talk about two things. One is clerkships and audits. So what is the meaning of audits, and how is it important, sir? How is it important to our CV?
Yeah. So audit is basically comparing the practices which are going in your hospitals to set standards. So I'll give you an example. Like I'll talk about one of the audits which I have recently done. Like I've done multiple audits, so I'll talk about one of those. So there was one of the audits in which I was looking at how efficiently abdominal X-ray requests were being put out. So there's a guideline by Royal College of Surgeons and also Royal College of Radiologists that you don't have to request abdominal X-rays for all the patients who come in with abdominal pain. There is a set of guidelines which have been given, like you just have to go for abdominal X-rays for people who might be having obstruction, who might be having a missing IUCD, any kind of foreign body. But you don't have to like go for abdominal X-rays for random things like a kidney stone or non-specific abdominal pain. Okay, so we have a set of guidelines here by Royal Colleges. Now, what you have to do is collect your data. Okay, so you go to the department, the radiology department, and ask them for all kind of abdominal X-ray requests. And all the hospitals have these data. So whoever requests an abdominal X-ray in the hospital, they are all logged into a system in the radiology department. So you just go there and you ask them for all this data. And then you look that whether all these requests which doctors have made, they are complying with the guidelines or not. And then you look that what percent is not complying with the guidelines. So once you find that the doctors are not really requesting the abdominal X-rays for the right reasons, then you'll have to do some kind of intervention. Okay, so you can conduct some kind of teaching sessions. You can put out posters in your hospital. You can talk to the radiographers that if you get requests for all kind of non-specific things, don't do an abdominal X-ray. So you put out all these interventions. After you've put out all these interventions, you go for the second cycle of the audit. Okay, so after like 6 months, you go back to the radiology department again, and you'll say that, yeah, okay, give me all the data, and you just have a look at how people are doing now after the interventions have been put. And that's like completing the whole cycle of the audit. So if you have made some kind of positive change, that shows that you have that your audit has brought out really good results, and that's like successfully completing an audit. So this audit system, it's not very much prevalent back in our home countries, but in the NHS, it's quite prestigious to have multiple audits in your CV. So you need to have some kind of audit if you need to apply for a training post. It's not really necessary for a non-training post, because when I applied for my first non-training post as I have to, I didn't have any kind of audits back in my home country. So it's not necessary for non-training posts, but if you want to apply for further training, you need to have audits, and preferably you need to have complete cycle audits.
So can you do your audits while you're in your F2? Will you be able to get the chance to do that? And if, how will you like build on your portfolio so you can do that while you're doing F2? Is there somebody that you need to speak to, or it's just personal choices?
Yeah, so in a non-training post, there is no one to force you to do any kind of things. It's all voluntary. So you always have a clinical supervisor and you have an educational supervisor. Okay, so you just go to any of them and you say that I want to do an audit. So you can be having an idea of your own, or they might help you with a new audit project. And you go there, you speak about it, and you can fill the form and submit it with your audits department in the hospital. And then you start doing the audit. So you can do audit at any level. You can do audit as a medical student, you can do audit as a F1, F2, a senior doctor, a consultant. It can be at any level. Nurses can do audits as well. Radiographers can do audits as well. It's just comparing your current practices with the set standards. Are you able to listen to me?
Yeah, yes, sir. I think my internet is a little bit unstable. So yeah. Okay, so yeah. So next is about clerkship, sir. Is it actually needed? I mean, is it as important as how clerkships are important in USML? Is it that important in PLAB and further parts of submitting your CV when you apply for training jobs?
For training job, it's not really important. But I think it's important for non-training jobs these days because of the rising competition. So after I finished my PLAB 2, I had a few days before my visa was expiring. So I went for a clinical elective in neurosurgery in one of the biggest hospitals in the UK. And I think that was a plus point for me, because in my interviews, they were asking how I found NHS and how was it different to the system back in my country. So I think people should go for some kind of clinical electives, though it's not mandatory and it's not like how you have to go for it in the US, but it will be a good addition to your CV these days because of the rising number of doctors in the UK who are applying for non-training posts. Talking about the training posts, like there are some training posts like radiology. So if you want to apply for radiology, you never get to work in radiology really. So if you want to apply for radiology, you need to have some kind of taster week, which is a fancy term for a week, and to just go there and shadow the radiology department. So in that way, if you want to apply for like some kind of specialties in which you haven't worked in, like radiology, ophthalmology, or pathology, forensics, then you need to have these kind of taster weeks or clinical electives, just to show that you are committed to that specialty and you are really interested.
So how do we apply for clerkship, sir?
So if you want to apply for any kind of clerkship, you just choose a location where you want to do it, and then you approach the HR of that hospital. Not really HR, it can be anyone, like any administrative person who's working there. So you can just Google the hospital's phone number, try calling them, and try to speak to some of the administrative people in that hospital, and they'll redirect you where you need to like go to apply for a clinical elective, and just speak to that person. They will allocate a consultant to you, and after the consultant is happy to take you in, then you'll have your clinical elective organized.
Okay. So how long does this clerkship need to be? I mean, is there a particular duration that the...
So yeah, there is no particular duration. You can apply. You can just go for a clinical elective for like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or maybe more than that. It's not really mandatory to go for a clinical elective. It's just to show interest in a specialty, or just to show that you have worked, like you have shadowed someone in NHS before you are starting a job.
So what you suggest is soon after PLAB 2, it's better to take a clerkship so that we can have better chance during our non-training jobs.
You can also go for some kind of clerkship or clinical elective in your medical college as well.
Back in our home country?
No, not back in your home country, in the UK.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So next is one of the most important, like most frequently asked question is about the expenditure, about the approx amount for each step. I think Dr. Varija has already told us. But then people are there were so many forms which had questions asking what is the total cost of the total expenditure involved in throughout the process, how much money is going to be involved.
So it takes around like, if I include all the things from like starting from my IELTS till the day I get the job, it takes you need to have around 8 to 10 lakh Indian rupees to complete all of the steps. But it can depend from person to person. Like if you are staying in a, like, most expenditure is during your PLAB 2, because you need to book tickets and you need to stay in accommodation, and depends where you are eating from, or whether you are cooking or whether you are taking takeaways. So you can reduce all these expenditure. So travel in economy, live in a cheap Airbnb, cook your own food, shop from less expensive places, and that will reduce your expenses. So you can do it in like 6 to 7 lakh Indian rupees, I guess.
Okay. So also, I mean, there were so many blogs which tell that you need to have a huge, a big bank balance when you apply for your visa, when you come for PLAB 2 exam. Is it actually true, or is it not?
I think it's true. It shows that you have some kind of financial backing. So if you get stuck in the UK, it won't be like you won't be left with any kind of money. So I think you need to have like 2 to 2.5 the times which times the money which you will be spending in the UK. So when you apply for this PLAB 2 visa, you have to write a cover letter. It's not necessary, but it's good to have a cover letter. So it will say that I am one of the doctors who is coming to the UK for my PLAB 2 exam, and all of my expenses they'll be taken care of by my parents, and I'm attaching my bank statement, like my parents' bank statement, and I'll be spending all this amount of money, which could be around 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, which is like 1 to 2 lakh rupees. So if you have around 2 to 3 times of that balance in your bank account, that will be a very good supporting document for your PLAB 2 visa.
Can I
just ask?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kamal. So does it have to be over a period of time? Like sometimes people say that you need to have it over a few months, that it's in your bank account, or is that just not true?
Yeah, I think it's true, because when I read all these blogs and when I talked to my seniors, they said that you should be having that amount of money for like a few months. It shouldn't be like that. You're going for the UK the next day and you have just shifted all the money yesterday. So it shouldn't be like that. The money should be in the bank account for some time, at least for a few months. So you need to send all these bank statements for a few months.
Okay. So it's not mandatory. You're saying that it's not mandatory, but then it's better
it's
to
not
have.
Mandatory. Nothing is mandatory. When you're applying for a tourist visa, you don't have to submit anything. You just have to submit your passport and I think your ID card, and that's it. That's what the website says. But you're just adding all these supporting documents just to make your case strong that you're going to the UK for your PLAB 2 exam and you'll be safe there, and if something happens you'll have money to support you and you'll have some kind of so yeah, you can also add in your relatives IDs who are living in the UK, that will be a good supporting document as well. That will show that if you get stuck in the UK, sometimes you'll have some kind of help there.
Okay, perfect, sir. Yeah. So, so that's all about the expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
So next let's talk about the specialty training, sir. So how is the procedure? How do you apply for training jobs in the UK? That is residency and post graduation in India, like how post graduation in India, the same way as training in UK, right? Yeah. So how do you apply for that? What is the procedure?
Okay. So I would like to tell you about the whole training pathway here. So I'll speak by the perspective of one of the doctors who has trained in the UK. Okay. So after people who finish graduation in this country, they have to go for foundation training, which is of 2 years, which is like internship back in their home country. After your foundation training is completed, you go for core training, which is like post-graduation back in your home country. And after your core training, you go for specialty training, which is like super specialty training back in our home countries. So for people who finish their graduation in the UK, after they finish their FY1, which is foundation year 1, and FY2, which is foundation year 2, they directly apply for core training or run through pathways, which is like a combined pathway, which will give you your core training and specialty training all together in one. So you need to go to OREAL and apply through that website. Before applying, you need to have a very good CV because all these posts are very competitive. Okay. So if you have a good CV, which consists of all those subheadings, which I already told you, then you can apply for any kind of specialty you want to apply in through OREAL. And the selection process is different according to different specialties. So some specialties will have interviews, which you need to go for, and some specialties will have an entrance level exam. So for specialties like GP training, radiology, ophthalmology, neurosurgery, obs and gynae, and sexual and reproductive health medicine, you need to sit in for an exam called MSRA, which is multi-specialty recruitment assessment. After you pass in this exam, you need to go for interviews. And after you score high in interviews, you will get into the training posts. But for specialties like general surgery, internal medicine, you don't have to go for any kind of entry-level exam. You just apply for the training post, and then you go for an interview. And after you're successful in that interview, you'll get a training post.
So is it like a centralized procedure, or is it, apply for jobs in the particular hospitals call you? How does it work?
So it's a centralized procedure. So OREAL is a national level website. It's a centralized website, and all the posts in whole of the country, which includes UK, like all the parts of UK, Wales, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. All the training posts, they are advertised in November on OREAL for all the specialties. And you have to apply it through OREAL. And you have to set all your preferences. So based on your like entry-level exam scores and your interview scores, you will get your preferences according to your scores.
So following that, you give an interview, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, like for specialties like OB and sexual and reproductive health and radiology, you have an exam before applying for training post.
Yeah.
Otherwise, for general surgery and medicine,
you don't have
medical, you
just have to go for it.
exam.
You just have to go for it.
So you just have to apply, give your CV, apply, and then give the interview. Okay, perfect, sir. Yeah. And could you just give us a brief overview about the different training, how difficult it is to get? I mean, there are so many people asking whether IMGs can make it to surgical training.
Mm-hmm.
So how difficult it is to get into it, and the duration of training, even GP training, even the core training, specialty training, the duration. So just a brief overview about everything.
Yeah. So there are two types of training pathways. One is like uncoupled pathways, and the other are run-through pathways. So for like non-run-through pathways, which are like uncoupled pathways, you have to go for core training and then specialty training. So you'll have to go for like 2 interviews, and you'll have to appear in one of the membership exams of the Royal College. So I'll give you an example. So if you're going for surgical training, so you apply for a core training post, which is core surgical training, which consists of 2 years of training. And once you have finished your core training, that is core surgical training, you need to give this exam called MRCS, which consists of 2 parts, MRCS A and B. Once you have passed your MRCS, you'll have to appear for another interview for specialty training post. Okay, so these are like uncoupled pathways. Now we have something called run-through pathways as well, like talking about neurosurgery. So so there are two kind of pathways for neurosurgery. Either you can go for core surgical training first and then apply for specialty training in neurosurgery, or you have another pathway which is a run-through pathway, in which you won't have to appear for an interview between core surgical training and the specialty training. So it's like a direct combined pathway in which you have to just appear for MSRA first, interviews once, and then you do it all at once and you get your completion, like you become a consultant. So the training duration depends from specialty to specialty. So GP training is the shortest. So you get GP training, you become a GP trainee, like a proper GP in 3 years. And for internal medicine, it can be around 7 to 8 years. It depends on what kind of specialty you want to go in. It can be around 5 years as well if you want to go for like some of the other subspecialties in medicine. So it's a comparably long pathway, but like I'm comparing it to the US standards. I'm not comparing it to India, but I think you are just like people who say that it is very, very long. They're just looking at one part of it, because in India, when you finish your MS and then you go for MCH, then you'll have to become a assistant professor or associate professor before like becoming a consultant. So people don't really look at that. They think that, oh, I have done my like MS or MCH now. I should be like good to become a consultant. But even in India, you have to become a senior resident or AP first before becoming a consultant. So I think it's very similar to, the duration is very similar to what we have in India. So here you don't have to become an assistant professor or a senior resident. You just have to like complete your training pathway, and the next day you're a consultant. So yeah, it is very similar. I mean, it's not a very, very long duration.
Okay. So there was someone asking you to explain a little bit about general, GP training.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could just elaborate it in just 2-3 sentences about it.
Yeah, so GP training, it's a 3-year pathway, and you need to appear for MSRA first. After you like appear for your MSRA, if you score in the top 10 percentile, sorry, not percentage. If you are in the top 10%, if you are in the top 10 percentile, you'll directly get into a GP training post. But if you don't score that high, then you'll have to go for an OSCE-based assessment. And after you pass that, you get into a GP training post. And this GP training post, it's for 3 years. And you have to appear for 2 exams, which is AKT, which is Applied Knowledge Test, and CSA. CSA is Clinical Skills Assessment. And after you pass both of these exams, you can become like a proper trained GP in the UK.
Dr. Ashish, is it true that if you do GP training that you can't go back to India and practice? How does that?
Yeah, I mean, if you do GP training in India, you don't have any kind of GPs who are working anywhere, so it's not recognized in India. So I mean, you can't really work as any kind of you'll be just a medical graduate.
Okay, that's okay. That's that.
Yeah, because we don't have the system of GPs in our home country. But you can go to the to other countries like Middle East, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. You could stay in the UK. Yeah, I think I missed one of the points as well. Someone was saying that is surgical training very difficult to get in the UK. I would like to say that surgical training is not very it's not very easy to get in, but it's not like impossible as well. If you have a good CV and you are well versed with all these interview questions and you know how to present yourself and you show that you are a very good candidate for surgical training, then you can easily get in. It's not like in the US where you have to like go for like 5 years of research job before applying for a surgical training post. It's easier in the UK to get into surgical training. I have a few of my friends who have got into surgical training this year. So they had a very good CV and they had good interview skills and they got in.
Okay, sir. Okay, perfect. So that was about the specialty training. And next, we'll talk about how life is as a doctor in the UK, like how the work-life balance is, and the salary of the doctor and the living cost in UK, and things like that.
Yeah. So the work-life balance is very difficult as compared to our home countries. So you usually work for 40 hours a week, and that's excluding your on-call days. Okay. So including your on-calls, like in my hospital, we have to be on call for 12 hours, 1 day a week. And we have to work on weekends for 12-hour shifts for like one in every 4 weeks. And then we have a stretch of night shifts, which is like 4 days of night, like 4 night shifts every 6 weeks. So it comes up to like 56 weeks or 56 hours or 58 hours if you average all of these out. But for these extra hours, you get paid extra banding, which is like 50% of your original salary. So the work-life balance is really, really good. You get the scope to do a lot of things in the UK. I don't think there's a lot of bullying in the UK. It's not a perfect system. I mean, there have been like incidences where people have reported bullying, racism. It's not a perfect system, but it is very good as compared to back in our home countries. Talking about the salaries, so a junior doctor usually gets around £2,500 a month after taxes. It's like 2.5 Indian rupees. And it's a very good amount of money to live a very good life. So I think it's all the expenses are easily manageable. And it depends actually where you are living. If you talk about expenses, like if you are living in London and you're living at a junior doctor salary, it will be very difficult to save because the rents for houses, they are quite high in London. A lot of doctors who work in London, they are living in the outskirts. So they travel on the tubes for around 50 minutes, like one way, because the rents in central London, they are like really high. They will be like £2,500 a month, which is more than your salary. So, but in other parts of UK, like the part where I'm working, the rents are quite less. So it depends where you are living and what kind of lifestyle you're having. But it's a very good salary to begin with.
Can I just add in one misconception that everybody has about PLAB is that how much do I have to pay to do a training job? Or like a non-training job? You don't. You get paid the moment you enter into the system. That's the main thing that I want to put across, because everybody's like, how much will it cost me to get into a training job? It just doesn't. You get paid. You're earning on your own once you get a job. So yeah,
I don't know how this question has come up because even in India, when you go for postgraduate training, you're paid there. You don't have to pay. Yeah.
Then some of the colleges, like the private college, you have to pay them fees for post-graduation. That's why it's
not
come
really
up
sure
as that.
about that.
No,
I
so
don't know
that's
about
the reason why.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the pay is really good, like to begin with. So if you are not living in like a very expensive city and you're not like buying the most expensive stuff around, I mean, you can buy the most expensive stuff around you. You have like a lot of money to spend, but then you won't be left with a lot of money to save. It's like it's like in every country. It's like managing personal finances, but it's a very good salary to begin with.
Dr. Ashish, how much does it cost you for a whole month? For example, like include your like your travels and then travel charges and your rent. How much does it, and on average, how much does it cost you?
So I live in the hospital accommodation, which is like £300 a month, including all my bills, council taxes, broadband, electricity bill, water bill, all kind of bills. So it's £300 a month, which is like really cheap. You usually should expect spending around 600 a month if you're living in any other city, or if you're living outside. If you're like living outside the hospital accommodation, then I don't have to travel because I'm living in the hospital accommodation, so I just can walk. But if you are traveling, it can depend whether you have a car or whether you don't have a car. So if you don't have a car, then it will be very expensive because you'll have to take a cab, and cabs are really expensive in the UK. But if you are living in London, then you'll save in traveling because you have the tube there. Then it depends whether you are taking takeaways. So takeaways can be really expensive. So I cook my own food. So it's not very expensive to buy groceries. So I spend around, I would say, 800, 2000 a month. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir. And the last topic is about MRCP versus PLAB. I think you've already spoken about that. So, but then there was a question where a person had asked if it's better for an Indian medical graduate to enter UK after his MBBS via PLAB or after his MS via MRCS or MRCP.
I think it's a totally personal choice and depends on your personal circumstances. I mean, for fresh graduates, I won't suggest them to enter the UK via the MRCS pathway. For fresh graduates who have just finished their internship within like 3 years, they should come via the PLAB pathway. And because it's a big problem in surgical training as well. So if you have done your post-graduation, like if you have any kind of experience more than 18 months in a surgical specialty, then you can't apply for a core training post in this country. You'll have to directly apply for a specialty training post. And it is like very, very difficult for people who have trained in other countries to like directly get into a specialty training post. It's very difficult because you have local competitions, you don't know the system. People who apply into specialty trainings, they have already done core training in UK, and they have a much better portfolio. So I think if it's a very good idea to come through the PLAB pathway and do all this stuff again. I mean, rather than going for the MRCP or MRCS pathway, but it depends on your personal circumstances. If you don't want to repeat all of the things again, and if you directly want to go into a senior post rather than working as a junior doctor in the UK, then you can come via the MRCS pathway, and and you can start working as a senior doctor in a non-trade portfolio.
Okay, so yeah. So I think that brings to the end of Dr. Ashish's session also. So we'll move on to the last segment of our event, which is unraveling the misconceptions. So we have gathered a set of questions which had come through the forms, which we thought were pretty much a misconception amongst international medical graduates. So we have compiled a bit, and I think I'll put it out, and either of you can answer it in a very short way. So one is it easy to prepare during internship? I think Dr. Varja has already explained about that, about how to go. And there is one question where how different is PLAB coaching compared to NEET PG coaching?
Would you like to take that, Dr. Ashish? Did you have NEET coaching? I don't think you can. You're on mute.
You're on mute, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So I went for NEET coaching during my pre-final year, and I don't think like I would like to go for any kind of coaching for NEET PG. It's like very stressful. You have long hours of coaching, and you are just being bombarded with like content information which you have to like memorize. But the coaching for PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, it's very different. I personally don't recommend going for any kind of coaching for PLAB 1. I think it's just a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge misconception that PLAB 1 is a very difficult exam. I think PLAB 1 is one of the easiest exams I ever appeared in.
Yeah.
Most of the questions, like I personally prepared for PLAB 1 through like all kind of non-paid things. So I went for PLAB Doable, Dr. Khalid 1700 questions, and the mocks by Dr. Swami and Dr. Samson's coachings, which I found just free of cost available over the internet. And most of the questions were repeated from these. And there's a huge misconception that you need to study all these Oxford handbooks and manuals, or like you have to study Harrison's or Bailey and Love. You don't have to do anything. You just have to like memorize all these questions. Just do all these questions like 3 times and you'll pass.
For my PLAB 1 preparation, my exam was a last minute thing. Like I just had to book it within 3 weeks, and then I had to prepare the whole thing in 3 weeks. So, it just depends on you. It's just the time you dedicate to it. If you're doing your internship, you can take around 2 hours a day and make it a habit to do at least 50 multiple choice a day from each topic, and that will build up over time. So you could do that the day, like for example, if you're in OBGYN posting, go through those questions, read up on those topics.
Okay, I think
the PLAB 2 coaching, it's very different as well, because you're just practicing. So you have classes, and then after all those classes are over, you just have to practice with other people so that you can become a better actor.
You just need to find the people you have a good rapport with, because that's so important, because you need to be on the same wavelength as them. Yeah, and a lot of people in my coaching who went for like very big groups, they just used to that. So I just found one of my PLAB 2 partners, like he was the guy who was just sitting next to me, and I was like, I think we should just practice. And both of us used to practice. So I used to do one of the scenarios, then he used to do it with the timer on. And like that, we used to do all of these, all of the like training stuff for PLAB 2.
Okay, so I think that's answer for how we can prepare during internship and how PLAB coaching is different from NEET PG coaching. So our next question is, one person had asked, I heard that ISC students who have scored more than 85% in their English exam need not give IELTS. Is it true? Do you have any idea about it?
No, I don't think so.
In my situation, I'm actually a British citizen, but I still had to take the IELTS because it's your degree. If your primary degree is outside of the UK, you still need to take the IELTS. That's what I emailed the GMC, and that's what they told me.
Okay, ma'am. I think. So the next question is, how are the job opportunities in the UK, even if I've not done any research and extracurricular on my CV?
Let me just, I need to like connect to a good Wi-Fi because I think I'm disconnecting.
Yeah, your voice is breaking up a bit, and it's like your video is going.
Do you know?
Yeah.
That's better. Oh no.
Hi.
Dr. Ashish?
Is everyone able to hear me?
Yeah.
So, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. So, can you please repeat the questions?
How are the job opportunities in UK, even if I've not done any research or extracurricular on my CV?
So, like I previously said, that it's good to have some kind of research or extracurricular activities, but it's not impossible to like land up in a non-training job if you don't have all of those. So if you have like some kind of teaching experience or some kind of distinction or some kind of like any other thing apart from researches and extracurriculars will do. But you'll have to like it's a competitive thing. So if you don't have all those things, it will be difficult for you to get into a post. But yeah, it's not impossible.
Okay. So there were so many people asking about whether we are going to get scholarships from pursuing universities. So I think you'll have to tell them about how it is not we are not taking a course from any university, rather that it is a training job that you're taking.
Yeah, that's the thing that we touched on before. It's not like, it's not a course that you're applying, it's a job. You're literally putting across your application to work as a doctor. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Continue, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Okay.
Hello.
Dr. Ashish, are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add anything onto it?
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Do you want to add anything to it?
No. Yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
agree with that.
Okay. So the next question is, I've read that IMGs are stuck as junior trainers for many years because consultancy posts are few and don't open up regularly. Is that what actually happens?
So that's true for some of the specialties like cardiothoracic surgery, neurosurgery, but it's not true for other specialties like GP training, general surgery, or internal medicine. But I think this is a big misconceptions because people get to progress in the UK. It's not like that you have started working as a doctor, so you'll be always be working as a doctor, junior doctor in the UK. You will get a chance to progress if you show your interest towards a specialty.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, I heard that the NHS underpays doctors. Is it true?
I don't think so. I mean, it depends on the perspective a person is having. They might be comparing it to like the US standards, but it's all about like managing finances. It's not about being like getting underpaid. A lot of people think that, oh, doctors are earning so much in the US, but they never see how much they're working actually.
That's a true
And
thing.
That's
yes. Yeah, so the trainees in the US, they work for around 110 to 120 hours a week. So I've had friends who, so I was speaking to one of my friends who just became a consultant, and like he's quite senior to me. He's a very good friend of mine, and he first came to the UK, and then he went to the US because he thought that, oh yeah, I think there's a lot more money in the US. So I said that if you work for like 100 hours a week, how do you cook for yourself and how do you exercise? And he was like, oh, what's cooking and what's exercise? I work for the whole day. I get up at around 4 o'clock in the morning, and I come to the hospitals because we have to like know all the patients beforehand. And then we work till like 1 o'clock at night. I go back, I maybe get a pizza slice and then eat it quickly because I have to like sleep for 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, people don't look at those kind of like lifestyles, and they just think it like through a tunnel vision. They just have a tunnel vision that, oh, they are getting paid more, but it's not like that. I mean, you have to know yourself first, like whether you want to work like a donkey for like a few years, and then I think for myself, I would like to have a more relaxed life, and I want to explore myself as a person. Like I want to see what I'm capable of doing, and yeah, it's not just medicine in life.
Yeah, exactly. That's another point that,
Yeah.
that's very important, because you need to have a personal life. You need to have a social life. You need to have like escape from your job, So if you're spending so much time just working, when will you have the time for your, for your family life and your social life?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. For a lot of people, like they are just focused. They are not really living they're not earning a living. They are earning a dime.
That's nicely put.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that that answer is the question is answered. And the next question is: will Brexit affect IMGs in any way?
Yeah, definitely there will be more job posts because a lot of EU people won't be coming to the UK. And there will be more opportunities for like Asian doctors to come in, or like any kind of other IMGs to come in, because a lot of EU people won't be very interested in coming to the UK because they won't be getting the same rights now. So the situation will improve with Brexit.
Okay, sir. And there was another question, which goes like, what made you choose UK over US, Australia, New Zealand, or countries like Canada? I mean, this is for both of you. Both of you can answer this.
So yeah. So as I said previously, I wanted to have a good work life because I don't see my job is the only thing which I'm doing in life. So I have a lot of other interests which I want to continue. So that's why I came to the UK, because I don't want to work a lot getting trained as a doctor, and it's not just what I am. So I just came to the UK because of that reason.
Okay.
What about you, Dr. Varija?
Dr. Varija?
It's mostly because family. My parents live here, and my grandparents live back in India, but my parents live here, so I want to be close to them. So, and US is too far away, like I can't live without seeing them at least at least once a week, or even if I'm in the UK, I don't know where I'll get a job, but then I will be in a close distance to them that I can visit them at least once or twice a month, at least like once a month or so. So I'm not, distant from them. So that's my reason for choosing sticking to UK.
All right.
Yeah.
So the next question is, how good is private practice in UK?
It's competitive. Like everyone can't go for a very good private practice in the UK. It's not like back in our home countries where you mostly work as a private doctor. In the UK, you work as an NHS doctor, and then you do part-time private practice. So you'll have to set up a good name for yourself in the community to earn a lot in private practice. So it's not very extensive like back in our home countries, but it's still there, and you can work as a private doctor as well, like a private surgeon, and earn a good amount of money from there.
So is it like can you have exclusive private practice without working in the NHS?
Sorry?
Can you have exclusive private practice without working in the NHS?
You mean like set up your own clinic?
Yeah,
you can do that. Yeah, a lot of people just private practice. Yeah.
Okay. So, doctors working in the NHS, how do they make time for private practice? Because you have particular time in the NHS, you need to go there in the particular time, right? So, how do they manage private practice?
So they either work out of hours or they work on the weekends. So I have a few consultants who are working in my hospital who have private practice. So usually on the weekends, they have a few cases, like private cases in other hospitals where they work and get paid for that.
Okay, so yeah. And okay, so the next question is, I heard that junior doctors or residents are being treated poorly now and the learning process isn't as good as it was before. How far is this true? Did you hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Okay, so I'll repeat it again, 1 second. So I heard that the junior doctors or residents aren't being treated properly and the learning process isn't as good as it was before. How far is this true?
I'm not really sure about how it was before this, but I think it's a pretty good system, and you get you get proper training, you get to know a lot of things, and it's a very good system actually. So I don't know how this question is brought it up, because I don't know what this scene was like 10 years back or 20 years back, but it's still a very good system to train in.
Okay.
Somebody's asking if there's a run-through pathway for cardiac surgery. Dr. Ashish, can you talk about this? Like a run-through.
I don't think there is a run-through pathway for wait, I'll have to have a look. I'm not really sure. I can have a look right now.
Because there's like pediatrics that's run through. There's OBGYN that's run through. Radiology.
Yeah. So
quite a few.
yes, radiology is run through. Yeah, there is a pathway for cardiothoracic surgery which is run through.
Okay.
But it's very competitive. I think they have started it a few years back, like three years back. So when I came first to the UK, I went for a course which was a course in cardiothoracic surgery.
Okay.
So they taught us how to do CABGs and how to put chest drains and how to do like valve replacement surgeries in big hearts. So they also had a session where they told us how competitive it is. And in cardiothoracic surgery, you have two kind of pathways. So you can apply as on ST1, which is a run-through pathway, which is a direct pathway. And the second pathway is you can go for core training, which is core surgical training, and then apply for specialty training. So especially in cardiothoracic surgery, the consultant posts are very few. So a lot of people who finish specialty training, they don't easily become consultants. So they usually go for a PhD or some kind of other thing, because the consultant post in cardiothoracic surgery and also neurosurgery, they are quite few.
All right, sir. So the next question is, can we work and settle in India after post-graduation in UK? How do we do it and how useful is it with respect to experience and case exposure?
I think it's easy to go back to your home country and settle there. And not only your home country, you can go to any other country and work there. I mean, once you're trained as a consultant, you get enough experience to work in any country. A lot of people say that, oh, in the UK, you don't really see a lot of infectious diseases, but I mean, you are a consultant and you know how to like know about new diseases. Like people didn't know about COVID before it came out, right? But people know about it right now. So you can easily like get trained in the UK and go back to your home country or any other country, and you won't be in any kind of problem.
So it's like, is there any particular, like, I've heard that only if you have got your CCT, only then you can come back and practice in India. Otherwise, you can't, if you have just stopped it. Oh, it's, so if you have just finished your core training, you can't come back and practice. Is it true? How far is it?
No, yeah. Then you can't come back or go to any other country to practice as a consultant. So you will have to have your CCT, which you get after your specialty training. And then only you can go to other countries or back to your home country to become a consultant.
Okay, sir. Okay. So the next is, how does coupled and run through? You have already explained that. And there's one more question where someone has asked, does the number of attempts and the percentage during MBBS matter for PLAB?
Oh, no.
Not at all.
Okay.
All they say is if you pass your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2.
Okay. No, they're asking about the percentage during MBBS.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
All you need to have an 1 year of internship, and you need to be able to pass all your all your subjects, and that's what they look for. Your internship is important. But that's from my knowledge. I don't know if Dr. Ashish can add on this.
Yeah, but if you have scored really high in your exams, like if you have been the topper in your university or in your college, then it can be an evidence to put in your CV. So that will give a good impression that you're good in academics.
Okay, sir.
But it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just a plus point. It's like a supplementary evidence.
All right. So the next question is, once you enter CT1 program, are you guaranteed CT2 and CT3 at the same institute, or do we have to reapply every year?
So once you get into CT core training, it's a rotational post. So you have rotations in different specialties. Like if you are in core surgical training, then you'll have rotations in general surgery, trauma and orthopedics, and ENT maybe. So all these rotations can be in the same hospital, or they are usually in different hospitals. So you're constantly rotating for every 6 months into other hospitals as well, which are within that trust. So yeah, you get guaranteed like transitions into the next year if you pass the annual assessment. So you have something called ARCP, which is, I'm not really sure about the full form, but it's like a annual assessment of how you have done in this year. So after you complete your ARCP, you can get into the next year, like CT2.
Okay, so so the next question is, are there equal number of seats in CT1, CT2, CT3 for a single specialty, or does the seat decrease as you go higher up?
Okay, so first of all, there is no CT3, there is just CT1.
Okay.
Like CT3 can be in, but for surgery or like for most of the medical specialties there. So for surgical training, there is just CT1 and CT2. And so, sorry, can you just repeat the question for me?
So this person has asked, are there equal number of seats in CT1, CT2, CT3 for a single specialty, or does the seat decrease? So I think they've been asking, they meant that once you finish CT1 and go to CT2, does the number of seat decrease over there?
No, the seats don't decrease. So you are like employed for the whole duration of training. So you'll always have your position till you finish that training pathway. So you always get recruited as a CT1, and then you come out of it as a CT2, like when you pass it.
Okay. So so and the next question is, can PLAB be an eligibility criteria for PG entrance in New Zealand? Am I audible?
I'm not actually sure about this, but I know I've seen that you can go to Australia with PLAB. I'm not so sure about this.
Okay, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly.
No, the question was, can PLAB be an eligibility criteria for PG entrance in New Zealand?
I don't think so. You have to go for some other exam for New Zealand.
Okay.
Although people who have like completed the foundation training, they can go to practice or like train in the like in New Zealand and Australia. But I'm not very sure about like PLAB as an entry criteria for post-graduation training in New Zealand.
All right, sir. So the next question is, which is safer or reliable, going to UK through PLAB by an agency or by doing it yourself? Which is more safer and reliable?
You can do it anyways, So both of them are equally reliable. Once you have a job post and you're working in the UK, then you're good to go. I mean, it's not like you'll be thrown out of the program.
But most people prefer to just do it on their own, don't they?
Okay. So do these agencies, do they charge you extra? How does, I mean, what are these agencies of? I've never heard about these agencies before.
So there are a few agencies called like Medax is one of them. And I think there are a few more. Medax is really popular.
Dr. Ashish, are you with us?
I think the connection has cut out.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Is Dr. Ashish also there? Is he?
I don't think he's. I think his internet might have cut out.
All right. So I think we have come to the end of it. We just have one more question. There's two more questions, but then you have already answered it.
Okay.
How does PLAB score matter, and how do we build an impressive CV without doing research? The last question is, how important is it to have research experience in one CV to apply for FY2?
This really depends on like your it's they actually ask you to have some research experience, but you don't necessarily need to have it to be able to apply for jobs. You can have other like extracurricular activities on your CV. Research doesn't have to be like the sole thing that will boost your CV. It can be all the other things that Dr. Ashish has mentioned.
Okay, ma'am. So yeah, so I think we have come to the end of our session. So do you guys just want to take any questions which have come in the chat box?
Yeah, that's.
I think Dr. Varija, you've been answering to them in the chat box, I guess. Just a second. I'll just.
I think somebody was asking about PLAB versus MRCP. So MRCP is to get into specialty training, where PLAB is for you to apply for non-training job. There's another program that's called as UK Foundation Year Program. That's when you start from FY1. That's a whole different topic on its own. For that, you need to plan out everything. That's completely different. So I think maybe that it's better to just cover that in a different session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
even with
someone
MRCP,
sorry, sir.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Even with MRCP, you can apply for a non-training job. So if you have MRCP, you can get GMC. So these are just ways to get GMC registration. It's not like you'll get into a training pathway or non-training pathways. These are just ways to get a GMC registration. So you can get a GMC registration through PLAB, MRCP, MRCS, or any kind of membership exam. Or you can get a GMC registration as an MTI fellow, which is like a totally different kind of post. Once you have your GMC registration, then you can apply for a non-training post or a training post. So the pathway depends on you. About whether you have completed your membership exam or how senior you are and what kind of job do you want to start working in as. So, yeah.
And another thing is that people, even if you have an MRCP booking, like a test booking, this shows your dedication to medicine. So that's a plus point for your CV. That when you go to an interview, they might ask, "Do you have any exams?" And that you can say, "I have booked my MRCP." And this is a way of getting a job. Like one of the ways. Like that's what I've read upon.
Okay. So there's this one question where someone has asked, how much does the difference in the specialty make in pay? Dr. Varijay? Do you want to repeat the question? Yeah. So someone has asked, how much does the difference in specialty make in? I mean, what is the difference in each specialty in the pay scale wise?
Oh, it's same. It's same for all specialties.
It's the same, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether you're a GP, you're a neurosurgeon, or whether you are a cardiologist, it's the same pay for all doctors.
Another question someone asked is about the GMC registration validity, because I've read online that it's valid up to 1 year for you to be able to get a job. Can you talk about that, Dr. Ashish?
No, so once you have your GMC registration, you need to renew it every 1 year.
Okay.
So if you have a job during that 1 year, then it shows that you're working as a medical doctor in the UK. Okay. Or else, and you have to go through some kind of systems, like check systems, which are called appraisals, which show that you still have those skills.
Okay.
So you can keep your GMC registration for all the time. I mean, if you submit your appraisals regularly and you pay for it, so you have to pay it yearly.
Oh, that's another hidden cost. That's the GMC registration. How much did you pay, Dr. Ashish, for GMC registration?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it was around £500, I guess.
Okay. I forgot to mention that in the expenses. Yeah. That's another thing. After PLAB 2, you need to pay for GMC registration.
So this 400 to 500 pounds, you need to pay that every year, is it?
No. Just the first. Oh, is that you have to pay it every year? Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So when you renew it with your appraisals, you need to pay this amount, is it?
Yeah.
What if you have a job? Do you still need to pay the money?
That's the same for MRCP and MRCS as well. So if you are a member of Royal College of Surgeons and you have MRCP, then you need to pay to keep the degree.
Oh gosh, okay.
Or else you can't mention it in your CV.
That's another hidden cost that we don't know about.
It's just a few ways of.
So you pay that every year and annually, is it?
I'm not sure about MRCS and MRCP about like every year, but you have to pay for it. I think it could be every 3 years. But for GMC registration, you have to pay every year to keep it.
Okay. So I think that's all, I guess, because Dr. Varijay has answered all the questions over there in the chat box itself. So should we conclude? Oh, okay. Someone is asking what should be the average IELTS score?
For IELTS, it's 7.5 overall and 7 minimum in each section. And then for OET, it's overall B, and you need to get 350 in each section, minimum.
Okay. So is anyone else having any doubts? You can put up in the chat box. We can conclude the session in another 5 minutes. Also, is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
I think we've been speaking for around 2 hours.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
It's just lunchtime for us in the UK now.
Okay, yeah, I see.
I think it's dinner time for you too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's around 7 now here. Is there any questions, guys? Anyone else? Okay.
No questions. That means it must have been a really informative session then.
No, there's
No.
someone asking something. 1 second. Someone has asked, did any of you use Anki flashcards for your PLAB or MRCP preparation?
Flashcards, yes. Anki, no. I didn't even know it existed till like last month.
Okay. Dr. Ashish, what
I
about
used
you?
Anki flashcards. I used Anki flashcards to learn German, but
Oh, wow.
not for like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to learn German to get into UK, or you just learned for the fun of it? Is it?
Oh no, it's just due to like pure interest.
All right.
But it's a good thing. You can use it on your CV. That's another plus point, because you can speak so many languages. You're multilingual.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, there's someone asking, okay, you have already mentioned it actually. Also, any specific books like how first it is for USMLE, you have already
You can use Oxford Handbook as an aid, not solely rely on it. You can use it as an aid. For example, it's just like concise version of each topic. So you can do that in your final year on your internship. Use it as an aid, not like you don't have to read it from start to end.
All right.
Yeah, there's a very good book by Kaplan. It's USMLE Step to CK, and that's one of the books which I use, and I highly recommend that book. I mean, that will make your concepts really strong in all medical specialty topics.
Kaplan Step 2.
Yeah, I've mentioned all these books in one of my blog posts. Yeah.
Okay, sir. And there's one more person asking, what are the advantages by doing PG in India and then entering UK?
I mean, if you have done PG back in India, then you'll have more experience, especially in medicine. It's a good point because if you have more experience, you can easily manage the medical conditions, and then you won't have a lot of problem in training as well, because you would have already done that back in your home country. But it's not a very good thing for surgical training, because as I've said that if you have like more than 18 months of surgical experience, then you can't apply for core training.
Okay, all right. So there are a couple of questions more, sir. After clearing MRCS, what are the chances of getting general surgery specialization, and for how many years is a specialization for?
So for general surgery, it can be around 6 years if you just want to become a general surgeon.
Okay.
And yeah, as I mentioned previously, that it's not very difficult to get into surgery if you have a good portfolio.
All right. There is one person asking, do completing courses on Coursera hold any value on the CV?
Yeah, it does. It shows your interest in that subject, so you should do it.
Okay. So will the recording of the session? Yeah, the recording of the session will be available on the YouTube link which I've put up in the group. I'll put up the details later.
Okay.
Because
another thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just read out the because it would be really helpful for future reference in case we hit a roadblock based on how extensive today's session was. Okay, today's session was very extensive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, Dr. Ashish, someone is asking you the link to your blog. So, if you can share it on the chat box.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
And I mean, I'll send it in the WhatsApp group also later on, guys. If any of you need it, I'll put up in the WhatsApp group also. Okay, so Dr. Ashish has put his link, the link to his
yeah,
blog.
the link to my that's the link to my blog.
And I've already shared Dr. Varija's Instagram
And
username initially, so you can just go back and see.
I'll just
Or I'll
type it.
share that also again in the WhatsApp group again. It's Dr.Varija. That's a username.
It's just my name.
Yeah. Okay. So any more question, guys? I think can we conclude our session for today? I mean, can someone give a clap or some thumbs up or something?
No, claps to you for organizing this session.
Oh, I mean, it's my honor that I could speak to both of you, and I myself personally, I got so many doubts cleared.
Even
today.
me, I'm on this pathway, and I didn't even know some of the things that Dr. Ashish spoke about. So it was even informative for me too.
Yeah. So I'll just propose a vote of thanks. I guess. Yeah, we got some 2-3 claps. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Is PLAB made easy? Dr. Ash's Insta handle? Yes, it is. PLAB made easy is his Instagram username, and his YouTube channel is PLAB made easy. So you can go back and check it out. He has very good content. Even Dr. Varija has you can go to Instagram and check the guide. She has beautifully mentioned about the initial step pathways to PLAB. So you can check that out also. Okay, I think we can. I'll just give a small vote of thanks, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I audible?
You are.
Okay, so yeah, initially, I would like to thank our both very esteemed speakers. I would mention they are very esteemed.
I'm just a normal person.
I mean, it was a very wonderful session for me personally, and I'm pretty sure. So I mean, we had around 90 people. I think it's come down to 95 to 40 people. I guess there are people watching it on YouTube streaming also. So it has been a very wonderful session for us. I think. I mean, I'm really grateful for both of you that you have agreed. And I have, texted you guys so many times, like, can you do it? And then the timings and everything. So you guys have been very patient. So thank you so much,
Thank you for
Dr. Varija. And
But thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
My pleasure. So thank you so much, both of you. And at the same time, I would like to thank AMSA India organization for everything, for putting up, giving us this opportunity that we can conduct this for so many people. And we have already also got the technical support to conduct this thing. So I thank AMSA India. And I also thank my state heads. I'm not sure if she's here, but then thank my state heads also. So yeah, I'll keep in touch with both of you.
Definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for organizing this. This was my first time ever doing something like this. And I felt better because you guys were there to, support me along the way. So thank you. And thanks to all the medical students who've attended this. I'm sorry if I made any mistake. You can message me on Instagram and I will clarify any doubts that you have.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Ashish.
Great.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Take
Kamil.
care.
Yeah.
Have a lovely week.
Varija.
Bye. Bye, Dr. Ashish. Bye, Kamil.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye. Bye, sir. Bye.
Leave?
Yeah, you can leave the meeting. I think I'll just wait for everyone to.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
No, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure, ma'am.